how women should be dressing. So there are different verses in the Bible which are misunderstood again. Ecclesiastes, we see, put your garments white always. It doesn't mean that we need to wear white garments all the time. It means that the clothes or the garments of salvation needs to be protected and needs to be kept pure. Then again, we see in Timothy and Peter saying women should be sober, modest, and not wearing expensive clothing. Different kinds of translations. But it's not about all that. It means flaunting. If your attitude is about going to church only to flaunt what you have, then you're on the wrong path. So that should not be the attitude. That is what it means. And women should not be wearing braided hair and all. And so back then, during their times, women used to tie their hair, or they used to wear buns, we say, or knots. But if they do the braiding, that is only to catch other people's attention, braiding and adorning them with so many things. But in today's culture, we don't care about all that. And we are open-minded, and it's back then, during those days, only prostitutes used to do that. So prostitutes used to wear clothes with shining things, and clothes that used to be bright or revealing. So that is how they were identified as being prostitutes. So now it doesn't mean that those who wear bright clothes are all immoral. We cannot rule it out like that, blindly going by misunderstanding what God's word has to say. How did the dressing revolution come? Back then, it all started during the World War II, when men had a demand in the army. So they all went to the army to fight for their respective countries, when women had to work in the fields and industries. And then they started to wear clothes that were convenient for them. The Bible also mentions about not wearing the opposite sex's clothes. That means man should not wear women's clothes and women should not wear men's clothes. That means they should not disguise themselves. Man should not be dressed in women's clothing, and women should not be dressed in men's clothing. In today's generation, that is what we are getting to see, the alteration or disobedience to the word of God. Now, there are other sets of clothing specific for women as well, like there are jeans or pants which are separate for men and women. It is not called as men's clothing. So there is nothing like confining or deciding that this is not acceptable, that is not acceptable, nothing like that. Because in today's world, there are many socio-cultural differences, and much revolution has occurred, and much liberalization has occurred, and women also started to work, and dressing has become the status symbol, and dressing also has become the expression of liberty. Now, all that we need to care about dressing is to keep it modest. That's all. So why are you wearing clothing in the first place? Because God dressed people. Who started the trend of dressing? God himself. When Adam and Eve found themselves guilty and they found out that they were naked, they didn't know what to do about it. It was God who made clothes for them. Genesis 3:21, verse 21 says that God made clothes out of animal skins, so which we call in today's language as leather. So God covered them, and God placed them in a place or in a land where the tilling was needed, because that is what God wanted them to do. Go now till the land, make food for yourselves, and you'll know how it is for trespassing my words. Okay. So now what to keep in mind? See, we only need to care about modesty. What you call as tradition is something odd for other country, and what you call as Western is the traditional clothing of some other country. So you cannot rule out like women should be dressed only in these kinds of clothing. Ultimately it's all about modesty. Now, can women wear makeup? Can women put on lipstick? Can women do their hair? What about cutting the hair? What about different kinds of hairstyles? It all depends on your choices and your conveniences. Can a woman wear makeup? Makeup, in the sense, it's makeup or painting the face is very much different from using the everyday cosmetics. You use everyday cosmetics, soaps, shampoos, the toiletries, and the minimal cosmetics to look presentable, because you're not sitting at home. You're going out, and so you need to present yourself with dignity, and also you need to present yourself fresh. Why? Because if you go perspirating, it will be very uncomfortable for the other person to bear with you or to sit beside you for a longer period of time. You cannot go with profuse sweating. You cannot maintain yourself looking untidy or unpleasant or sleepy or tired, because that will also put off the other person's mind in your workplace, if you or whatever your profession is. But you maintain the professional dignity by wearing something nice, by wearing something comfortable at the same time, and also you see that you look presentable. So that's the aim, because we are not sitting at home and because we are working people. And so wearing makeup, you're not going into the field of acting and getting captured in the lighting and looking like who you are exactly not. So it is not at that level, and as long as it is not at that level, there is nothing wrong in whatever you're doing to keep yourself, maintain your hygiene and maintain your dignity and presentability. So having a watch on the presentability is important. Can you adorn yourself with jewelry? You can, as long as you don't want to brag about it, and as long as uh, you particularly wear it in order to poke the other person and see and show that, see what I've got. That should not be the attitude. If you want to adorn yourself with jewelry, you can. Ultimately, whatever we have is given by God, and there were kings like David, there were queens like Esther, who were devotional people. They were people of God. God doesn't care about what you wear. God doesn't care about how you look, how you do your makeup and everything. God cares about your heart. And the garments in the Bible that God mentions are the garments of salvation. We need to keep that in mind. And yes, the Bible talks about modesty. So when you get into your personal connection with God, that is what we learn, to be modest, to bring down the level of our clothing to modesty, in simple, decent. Don't do too much of revealing, and wear your clothing. Um, like, let your clothing uh, fit into a lifestyle, that you choose your clothing according to the places that you go. You wear formal outfits, whatever you call as formal, again, be it the western formal or the traditional formal, whatever formal is for you. You wear your formal clothes to your workplaces most of the times, and then you wear your sportswear at home or when you're going to the gym or when you're going to the park during the morning or in the evening. That's up to you. So going to a sports club, you cannot dress yourself with all the traditional outfits, adorning yourself with the jewelry and all. You don't go to a place like that. That is unseemly. Just like that, you cannot wear your sports outfits or whatever it is to the church or your workplace. So there are certain limitations that we can choose to keep for ourselves. Again, if you are a person who wants to follow all this, you do. Or else not, it's your choice. It depends on your understanding of how to carry yourself. So again, it is all about the person's individuality and individual choices, how you need to dress and how you need to present yourself. Then how are we supposed to go to church? See, the Bible also talks about wearing precious clothing when we go to church. And ultimately, church is a place where we go to honor God. We give our attendance, showing that we honor God. It doesn't mean that God doesn't reside anywhere else. God resides in us. God can reside anywhere. God can hear our prayers wherever we pray. It doesn't mean that God is not going to hear our prayers if we don't go to church. But we go to church to give our honor and reverence to God, to give our attendance to, because we revere God. So that is the reason why we go to church. So when we are going to church, because we honor God, we are going wearing something precious, wearing the best clothing. There used to be a girl who wears the same dress to church every Sunday. And everybody used to think that, why does she wear the same dress to church every Sunday? And then, as children, when we went to our mom and we told her, like, Masi, there's a girl who wears the same dress every Sunday and she comes to church and she only chooses to sit beside her grandmother and nobody else. She's not even much interactive or talkative. That's all. And then immediately my mom said, maybe that's the best clothing that she has. Wow. So, yeah, maybe. And after we became friends, yes, I did ask her, like, why do you wear the same dress to church every Sunday? And she said, this is what I like the most. Very touching. And I still remember that. And that girl is not poor. Not at all. They are very, very rich. And still, she did not care about what to wear to church, how to come to church, nothing. She only cared about giving her best to God. Such a little girl. And this also was an experience for me during my childhood. So, what did she try to do there? To give what she likes to God. She came happily. We feel happy when we try to wear something that we like. We feel good about ourselves. We get that sense of worth. And we feel good, we feel happy, cheerful, and that glow comes from within. Whatever the glow that people talk about, that comes out of joy from within. So you dress up and you keep yourself glowing, but why? What is the intention behind matters to God? What matters to God is our attitude, whether we are willing to give our best to God. That is all about dressing. Choose the dressing of your choice. Your dressing can be vivid. You can wear any sort of clothing. It depends again on the place that you're going. Can you do your hairs? Yes, you can. Can you do your nails? Yes, you can. But again, whether you're going to set your mind on it, there you have to keep a watch. Because do your hairs, follow the trend, or if you like, or if you're not comfortable, cut your hair as time pass, or do the different hairstyles, that's fine. But where are you setting your heart? Like, on what things are you setting your heart? What are the things on which your heart is running after matters to God? So you can choose to wear your clothes of any choice. You can choose to be presentable. There is nothing wrong in that. You can choose to wear white clothes or not. It depends. But God doesn't care. So God doesn't mean in Ecclesiastes chapter 9, put your garments white. No, they are the clothes of salvation that you need to be keeping it white, blemishless, because salvation is a gift of God. Salvation is born again experience, which you get when you come into contact with God. So once you come into contact with God, you get that. You get to perceive things differently. You get to see the world with the eyes of God, and your perspectives are changed. Now, after getting into that salvation experience, again going back or being pulled back into the worldly things and getting attached to the worldly things is bad. That is what happens with most of the people. They backslide because they are stringed or they are pulled back to pursue the worldly things. So, where your heart is going, or what are the things that your heart is chasing after, matters to God. So choose your dressing wisely and keep your lifestyle modest. That's all. You can choose any kind of dressing that you want. But also keep in mind that dressing is a social responsibility for women especially. Why? When you dress properly, you represent the womanhood in a dignified manner. And people will be filled with respectable thoughts. Now, if we dress revealing, what will happen? A person who goes to a public place is dressed in short clothing or crop tops, anything, there will be perverted people whom we do not know at all. And you never know who exactly is perverted, whether a person in a condition in a drunken state, or whether a person who seems very dignified but with all the perverse thoughts in his mind. You never know what kind of person is out there who is a pervert. So now this perverted person is not going to attack the one or a girl who is dressed in this revealing outfit, because that is a public place and he cannot dare to do that. And obviously all these children who try to dress very boldly, thinking that it is bold, will not be attacked very swiftly, because they will be thinking that that place is not ideal. Or maybe even if they try to chase after or to do anything inappropriate, even by saying something, might end them up in a very bad situation. So now this pervert is not going to attack the girl who has dressed in an inappropriate manner, but he goes out to places in chase after women who are lonely, or in a place where he can find somebody who becomes his victim. That is what will happen. So if we dress properly, we will be protecting other women. That is why dressing is a social responsibility. So if somebody says that women should be dressed appropriately, that is right. There is nothing wrong to feel bad about it, because if we consider or learn some science, see, today in today's generation, we have the human reproductive system and everything included in the chapters at a very early age. Previously it used to be avoided for teaching until we are at a college level, because we studied them at the university and college levels during our post graduations. Until then we never cared, because it was excluded, and so we also have excluded. So we never had any kind of need to know what exactly happens. But if you know what exactly happens with the opposite sex and how they are made, and different kinds of conditions that can stoop them down to do something faulty, then we can preserve ourselves with that knowledge. We can preserve ourselves by dressing appropriately, and also the other woman who might become susceptible or who might become the next victim. That's all. So all these women who are being attacked or who are becoming victims are those women who are found as a prey. That's all. They would be dressed appropriately, and those victims are also young girls, little children, and old women. Now, are they dressed inappropriately? No, but they are attacked. Why? Because this pervert would have seen all the other kinds of perverse things somewhere else, which he had vented it out here with the innocent, and which ended up these women as victims. So that is why dressing is a social responsibility. Now, if you want to think it that way, you think. Again, it is a choice. If you think that, no, how can it be social responsibility? It is my choice. It is my independence. It is my liberty. I don't care about who becomes the next victim. or I'm not responsible for somebody else's pervertedness. That's up to you. But if you can consider on these things, think about these things and how these things, are working in the society and why women are blamed and all, then we can think about these things, and we can keep or bring down the thoughts to fit into what is good. Now, what I am saying is not good. What God says is good. So you do your nails, you do your hair, you do your dressing, but keep them in a modest level. That's all.